Hey everyone, and welcome again to Wonderfully Made Health, where I teach you that you are wonderfully made and the body can heal itself. Today's teaching is going to be in depth, and we're going to look at 4 stressors that need your attention. We live in a world of stress. There's more stress coming from us in all directions, perhaps than ever before. And so we're going to look at 4 stressors that affect 3 pillars of health. So let's talk about stress first, okay? Now, stress is defined as a process in which environmental demands strain an organism's adaptive capacity, resulting in both psychological demands as well as biological changes that could place a person at risk for illness, according to the United States National Library of Medicine. Now, look at the effects of stress, everyone. 85% of all disease is caused by stress, according to the CDC. 85% caused by stress. Think about the stressors in your life, and you're going to get more knowledge and more understanding as we continue. 75 to 90% of all doctor visits are stress-related ailments and complaints. So if you reduce stress, that reduces doctor visits. If you reduce stress or know how to handle stress better, that reduces the amount of disease that we are so plagued with, not only in this nation, but across the world. Cancer, heart disease, mental disorder, depression, Alzheimer's, COPD, emphysema, high blood pressure, all of these are terrible diseases, but look, all are non-communicable, which means we don't catch them from one another. It's not like a common cold that is communicable. You can catch it by being around someone. You don't catch cancer by being around a cancer patient. You don't catch heart disease by hanging out with someone who has heart disease. Therefore, all of these major, these are the big time players of disease. All of them are brought onto us somehow. In other words, they are triggered. Something happens to trigger them. Now, because of this, we need to get to the cause, not just the symptom. Allopathic medicine, okay, Western medicine, our hospitals, our doctors, mainstream medical industry, they're very good at treating symptoms, and that's great. But what they're not very good at is getting at the cause of the symptoms. Is that what we want to do? Because you guys want to be healthy. I know you're listening to this channel because you're searching for answers and you want to be healthy. But when you treat the symptom, it's kind of like when your car puts on the oil light and you take it to the mechanic and all he does is, cut the wire leading to the oil light. Yeah, the light will go off, so you're not being bugged anymore by the light when you're driving, but he did nothing to treat the cause of why the oil light went on in the first place. So that's what we're going to look at as we continue our teaching. All right. I want to talk about the HPA axis of stress response. We're going to understand stress a little better and the response of the body. Okay, so this is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. These are all glands, part of the the endocrine system. And it relies on a series of hormonal signals to keep the SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, we're going to talk more about that on the next slide, to keep it active if the brain continues to perceive stress. Okay, so look at that. The SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, will continue to be active when the brain perceives stress, okay? This axis releases stress hormones, which causes the adrenal glands to release cortisol, which is a stress hormone. The adrenal glands sit above the kidneys. Massive hormonal shifts take place, and this affects the immune system. All right, a stress response. Now, check this out. When the threat passes, okay, when stress lowers, cortisol levels fall, and the parasympathetic nervous system, the PNS, decreases the stress response. So the parasympathetic nervous system is involved in decreasing the stress response. You got that? Okay, now watch this next slide. Here is the ANS, the autonomic nervous system. All right? The autonomic nervous system is divided into 2 parts, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic. Just to make it real simple, the sympathetic nervous system is what we call our flight are fight or flight. Okay, that's when you're stressed. That's when you're nervous. That's when you have anxiety. That's when you're burdened with something, and it's on, The parasympathetic is what we call the rest and digest. Okay, that gets you into a parasympathetic state where those stress hormones, such as cortisol, those levels are brought down. Okay, and you can look, I'm not going to go through all of this, but you can look and see when you're in a more parasympathetic state compared to a sympathetic state, how that affects the body. The one I do want you to take a look at is the stomach there. Stimulates peristalsis and secretion. Peristalsis is a smooth muscle movement uh, in digestion. Okay, it goes through your intestines and everything. Look at the other side. Inhibits peristalsis and secretion. Okay, the other one I want you to look at is the heart. When you're in a parasympathetic state, it slows down the heartbeat, and in the sympathetic state it accelerates the heartbeat. All right, so let's move on. Just a basic understanding of the autonomic nervous system, divided into two parts. Sympathetic is the stress part, parasympathetic is the relaxation part. Okay, so let's look at four stressors and the three pillars of health, which are your body, your psyche, and your spirit. Okay, how these four stressors affect the three pillars of health. First of all, physical stress, emotional stress, chemical stress, and spiritual stress. A lot of people don't put the spiritual stress into it, but it's there. We're going to see more of that in a bit. Okay, physical, emotional, chemical, and spiritual. Four stressors. Let's get into this. Physical stress, your job, sickness, disease, chronic pain, lack of sleep. That's a big one. How many people in the country are suffering from insomnia? A lot. Your work clothes, you ever think about that? The work clothes that you wear can put a lot of stress on your body, either at the required equipment, the required uniform that you have at your job, or just your office type of clothes. Okay, tight bras, neckties, things like that. Girls, high heels. Okay, putting stress on the back and the spine. Wi-Fi, that's a huge deal. Wi-Fi, I have a whole teaching just on Wi-Fi radiation and cell phones. Heavy lifting, going to the gym, and guys, some of you are trying to lift heavy, right? You're squatting heavy, you're bench pressing heavy, and I get it. I know it's cool to be strong. Several years ago, my bench press max was almost 300 pounds, and I was weighing 165. So I get it, I understand, but it puts a lot of stress on the joints, which you don't need. Emotional stress, relationships, marriage, family, kids, responsibilities of taking care of your children, friends, deadlines at work, just your daily and weekly schedule. How about the news? How about everything we hear on the news? Politics can bring emotional stress. Man, this country is so divided between, Democrats and Republicans and Fox News and CNN, and everyone's, against each other. And wow, so much emotional stress in our news and our politics. How about Facebook and Instagram? How many likes you're getting? How many likes you're not getting? Maybe you're Facebook stalking an ex-girlfriend, an ex-boyfriend, just that's going to bring stress. And then your health. I know this is a health channel. What I mean is, you're in a state of health that is putting emotional stress because you're not healthy, and that's going to weigh on your mind. Or your doctor gives you some news that you don't want to hear about your health. That's going to be emotionally taxing. How about a loss in the family? Losing a parent, a brother, a sister, grandma, grandpa, a child. Oh my goodness, the loss of a child, that is very emotional. The loss of a job, or maybe you've been a victim of abuse. How about your finances? How about you don't know how you're going to pay rent, or You're barely making it above water, trying to take a second job. Let's keep going. Chemical stress, the food that we eat, the things we drink, cleaning agents, what we use to clean our bathrooms, our kitchens. There's a lot of chemicals in there. Take a look under your kitchen sink and you're going to probably see so many cleaning agents with all these different foreign chemicals. Smoke, if you're a smoker, that's going to, or around people that smoke. Perfumes, right? Perfumes and colognes can bring chemical stress because things enter our body through what we breathe, through what we eat and drink, and what we put on our skin. How about if you live near a factory? If you're a heavy alcoholic drinker, hair dyes. Maybe you're someone that works in the beauty industry and you're around the smell of hair dye. Or you use those ammonia-based hair dyes that are going to sink into the skin of your scalp. Lotions that we put on, like I said, one of the entries into our body is through our skin, through our pores. Okay, we'll look at the ingredients of those lotions. Vaccines have all kinds of stuff. Go to the CDC website and look under vaccines. How about aluminum-based deodorant? You get that deodorant, look, and it goes under your armpits. Boom, they are very absorbent there. Look at the ingredients in your deodorant. GMOs in our foods. That's a big deal now. Do a search on GMOs and you're going to hear all kinds of things about GMOs. And then, of course, just the air pollution, right? If you live in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Houston, just a metropolitan city, there's going to be a lot of air pollution. And how about spiritual stress? This is one that goes overlooked a lot. Maybe you have a lot of fear. Maybe there's unforgiveness in your heart towards someone. Maybe you're unsure about the afterlife and what happens when you die. Some of you might feel that God is upset or angry with you, and that brings a lot of guilt or a lot of shame. He's not upset. He's not angry with you. I know some of us were raised, in a tough religious background, but he's not upset. He's not angry with you. He loves you. Maybe you're wondering, am I forgiven? Well, Jesus died on the cross and rose for a reason. He said, I'm the way to the Father. Go through him, get forgiveness. Or you're wondering, is the spiritual path I'm on the truth, right? You just don't want to be on any spiritual path. You want to know that you're on the one of truth. Ask God, lead me to truth. Physical stress. Let's get some solutions. We talked about the stresses, but you guys want solutions. Let's get with some solutions. Okay, if you're under physical stress, get consistent massages. Go to a chiropractor. Get your spinal cord lined up the right way. Okay, wear looser clothing. Wear more comfortable clothes and shoes after work. So when you come home from work, get out of them. Get into your comfortable after work clothes. You're gonna maybe need some back support, some of you, and change your heavy weight workout. Of course, work out, but maybe you need to stop the heavyweight training. Okay, it's gonna put a lot of stress on your joints, and your joints they weren't designed to handle 300, 400 pounds on them. Improve your health. If you just start to get healthy, then it's gonna relieve stress on you physically. Exercise, you have to move, people. You have to move. You have to move to get the lymphatic system moving. You have to move for your circulatory system and get the heart pumping, okay, through the blood. Deep breathing. Deep breathing. Get oxygen in there and just deep breathe to relax. Lose weight. Some of you are way overweight and we don't like to hear it, but lose weight. You need to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds or more. Some of you maybe just 15 pounds, another 10 pounds. Okay? Sleep, everyone. Get some sleep. Address your insomnia. Make sure your room is dark. Put earplugs if you have to. Get the little blinds in front of your eyes. The room needs to be dark. That's when melatonin will be released, okay? Get your sleep, and I'm talking 7, 8 hours of deep sleep. You got to get into your REM, your rapid eye movement sleep. This is important. Look at this. Unplug the Wi-Fi router. Yes, I have a teaching on that. I'll put a slide to it. But unplug the Wi-Fi router at night. Keep cell phones at a distance. The cell phone radiation is affecting the DNA on your cells. Keep it at a distance, all right? Don't put it up to your ears. And girls, do not put your cell phone in your tank top near your chest. Guys, keep it out of your front pocket. Do that. Listen to me, all right? Let's go on to some more solutions. Emotional stress solutions, right? We came here for solutions. Now, spend less time in the sympathetic nervous system. Remember, we talked about that already, the fight or flight part of the autonomic nervous system. Spend less time being suspicious about your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, okay, friends. Not terrified. Stop being so sad, worried. Worry is such an emotional stressor. Edgy, irritable, overwhelmed. Your job is overwhelming you. Your relationship is overwhelming you. You're heartbroken. Some of you are miserable, confused, and frustrated, whether it's with your job or a person or where you're at in life or not attaining a goal. Some of you have done things in your past where you are regretful. Regret is a huge burden to carry. And some of us are stuck in a rut. You're just stuck. You looked back and last year looked a whole lot like this year. You look back at the last 5 to 10 years of life and nothing has changed and you're stuck in a rut. And worse, some of you don't even know it. The ones that know it, well, that puts stress on you. Do things to change it, okay? So what do we want to do? Spend more time in the parasympathetic nervous system. Be outdoors, you guys. I can't tell you how beneficial it is to be outdoors in fresh air, at the beach, down at the lake, in the woods, okay? Walking through the park, walking your dog, running, jogging, being outdoors, getting the body moving. It releases emotional stress. Find times to be vibrant, stimulated, amused, laugh a lot. Laughter is medicine. Find times of delight, be serene, look for bliss, joy, and pleasure. Be empowered, educate yourself, learn. Because when you're empowered, you feel that you have some solutions, which releases emotional stress from you. And progress. Progress. Tony Robbins teaches about how important progress is. When you feel like you're progressing, when you feel like things are getting better in your life, then you're in a more parasympathetic state. You're happier, your emotions are higher, things are better. Be tranquil, and once again, find time for sleep. Okay, look at that girl in the picture. She's looks like has made up with her husband, or maybe that's a brother who was off in the military who she's happy to see again. But you see this bliss and joy on her face, and then that group of people jumping, and they're outside, they're enjoying nature, the warmth of the sun. Look at that. They are just parasympathetic dominant right now, and feel-good hormones are being released, dopamine, all of that good stuff. Let's go to more solutions. Chemical stress. All right, reduce or quit. Now I say reduce because I know some of us aren't just going to just quit this, but reduce or quit fast food. Okay? Smoking, I'd say quit. Okay? Alcohol consumption, reduce. Yeah, you're celebrating. Maybe you go out a couple times a month on a weekend with, after work friends or something like that. Just reduce the alcohol consumption. Don't overdo it, right? Moderation. Vaping, sodas, you guys. Man, there is just so much sugar in sodas. Sodas I like to call liquid death or liquid poison, okay? Cut down on those drastically. Some of you need a soda a day. Some of you are drinking 2 or 3 or more a day. Get rid of it. Sugary foods, you guys, are horrible for the body. Okay, just the insulin spike that happens with high amounts of sugar. Do your own study on sugar, okay? Get educated on sugar. Junk food snacks. I'm talking about the gas station snacks, the quick liquor store, convenience store snacks. GMOs are putting stress on our bodies. Genetically modified food, perfumes, hair dye, like I talked about, detergents, cleaning agents, recreational drugs, stop the recreational drugs, and reduce prescription drugs. I know that they're prescribed to you by your doctor, and I get they've been helping you maybe with a certain condition. Try to slowly wean yourself off of them. Maybe work with your doctor because they do have side effects, and sometimes those side effects won't show up for several years down the road. But I mean, you want to be off drugs, right? Prescription drugs, of course, and let just the body do what it can. So, under detergent deodorants, there I use Every Man Jack, just because it's it's clean. There's no aluminum. It's plant based, but it works too. Because it's hard to find you know aluminum free clean deodorant that actually works. So anyway, that's the one I use. I can put a link down below in the description to it. But find your own that works, or you can be like my dad. He just puts some baking soda under his armpits and he's good to go. Works for him. If you don't have a job that causes you to sweat a lot. Okay, let's talk spiritual solutions now. You need to forgive someone. You need to have faith. Find peace. Come to a point in your life where you're just at peace spiritually. Some of you need to start praying, maybe adopt some meditation. Some of you need to talk to God again, or in the first place. Maybe you've never just talked to Him as someone you can approach. Maybe you need to ask God for forgiveness. Or, like me at one point, you need to forgive God. And by that I mean, don't blame Him for everything. I remember sitting in my truck one afternoon and telling Him, I don't blame you anymore. I don't blame you. This wasn't your fault. Some of you have gone through a lot of tough stuff and you've been blaming God, and that puts a lot of spiritual stress on you. And maybe you just need to say, I don't blame you anymore. Or read your Bible, read the scriptures, seek truth. Jesus did say, I am the way and the truth and the life. And then assure yourself of heaven. There is a deep peace that comes with knowing that you are heaven bound. Okay, there's a release, a spiritual release where if I die tomorrow or if I'm here another 30, 40, 50 years, I know where I am going. Now, a lot of what I gave you is surface stuff. And what I mean by that is it's easy to do, and it's really good for, people who are generally healthy and want to stay that way. You're either really healthy or, you're generally healthy and you want to incorporate all these stress relieving stuff. But those of you who are diseased, those of you who are in constant hypertension, those of you who are struggling mentally and physically in a really difficult way, maybe you're dependent on prescription drugs, maybe doctors don't know what to do with you anymore, maybe you're in a really life-threatening sickness. You need to go deeper than just, the walk on the beach, or you need to go deeper than just eating organic foods, even though, yes, do that. That helps. So, here's some suggestions. Leave a toxic relationship. This is a big one. If you're in a toxic relationship, you need to get out of it. And I understand some of you are married, and that brings other issues in. So, handle it wisely. Talk to people you trust. Maybe you have to leave for a while. I don't know, but it needs to get fixed. Okay, a toxic relationship is just constant stress. If you're in a toxic relationship, you are in 24/7 sympathetic dominance, which is going to wreak havoc on your health. Some of you have to move away from the city and the environment. Okay, you live in a downtown area, or you live near oil refineries. You live in just an unhealthy part of the city, and you need to get away. You got to move up towards the mountains, move uh, in toward or down towards the coast or somewhere. You just need to get away from that city life, or the environment. Maybe it's not just city, but it's an environment that is toxic. Okay, there's fumes going up, or you're too close to an airport and you got noise pollution and what's coming out of the airplane engines constantly as they fly over your house. All right, so think about that. You might have to move, sell that house, and go somewhere else. Some of you have to have an awkward conversation with the loved one that you are harboring bitterness toward. If you retain bitterness in your heart, it starts to eat away at you. It starts to eat away, and that's a tough one. You got to let it go, and an awkward conversation sometimes needs to happen. But on the other side of that awkward conversation, there can be release, right? And then you can stop those stress hormones from being released all the time, okay? Because you're just harboring this burden towards a loved one. Next, some of you, for spiritual release, you need to tell God that you need help and that you don't have the answers. Especially in today's technological age, we think we have the answers for everything, or some of us have a lot of pride, and perhaps you're at a point where you just have to say, God, help me. I give up. I finally release it all to you. I don't have answers. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of looking. Please just help me. Okay, and get a spiritual release that way. I want you guys to be well. Quit a job, even though you have no other options. That's pretty radical, huh? To quit a job, a toxic job. Maybe your job is not only physically toxic by what you're around, what you're breathing in, but even emotionally toxic from your coworkers and your boss, or maybe it's just a job that you hate waking up for in the morning. Isn't that horrible? To wake up in the morning at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and it's another 8 hours of a job I can't stand being at, or a job that you're okay with, but it's just not fulfilling. Some of you just quitting that job and getting other types of employment, even though if you don't have any other options yet, that's pretty brave, right? But that's going to bring a release. And think about it. If you're in that situation, start saying no. That's a tough one. It took me a while to learn to say no, because I like being there for people. I like being the one who's able to get things done. But some of you need to finally just say no. Okay, maybe start in small steps, but you need to say no, because you have so many people pulling at you, right? Needing you. But when you say yes all the time to others, you're saying no to yourself a lot. When you're carrying other people's burdens, which there's a time and place for that, to be there for others and carry their sorrow and sadness with them. But when it's constant and you're just doing it all the time and neglecting your own responsibilities, and you're the one going financially in debt, you're the one who is not sleeping well and everything like that, then you're the one that's going to end up paying the cost. And some of those people that you're saying yes to may not be there for you when you need them. Start to say no to your work responsibilities. My roommate, they're asking him to work on Saturdays, and he told me the other day, I need to start saying no to these people because they're just taking advantage of me. Next, get counseling to release past traumas. The body holds in traumas. the body will hold them in. And sometimes you need professional counseling. It's not just talking to a best friend, but someone who's trained, um, a counselor, a therapist, um, a pastor, a psychologist, somebody who can help you release past traumas, probably from your childhood or from a relationship. Those seem to be common ones. Okay? And then just attend to the three pillars of health. Okay? Body, psyche, and spirit. Sometimes we just treat the body, for healing, to try to find healing. We just change your diet, go on walks every day. But you need to have a holistic approach of the psyche, the emotions, and the spirit, because you're not just a physical being. You know you're not. Just be honest with yourself. You don't need me to tell you. You know we're not just a body made of random chemicals. You know, there's design to you. You are wonderfully made. So the three pillars of health are body, psyche, and spirit. And find in your own journey how you need to attend to all three for your healing. Alrighty? Now, on my channel, I say educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself, okay? I want you to check out The Stress of Life by Hans Selye. That one is a little bit of a harder read. He's an MD. He's passed away now, but did an extensive work on stress. Read it. If you're someone who's a geek like me, who loves, reading about health and all of this stuff and all these YouTube channels that you're watching and these websites you're visiting, if you're kind of a geek like me and this stuff just excites you, then this book is probably for you. It's a little more academic, a little bit tougher read, but if you're like, yeah, that sounds good, it's in the link below in the description. Click on it, get the book, start highlighting it like I do, and you'll learn a lot. The other one, When the Body Says No, that's a much easier read. It's more of a case study, but of several case studies, excuse me. But the author, he goes into how much stress and is connected to disease, and how relief can come from releasing stress and getting in that parasympathetic state. I want to read for you a part of his book where a man with cancer, with melanoma, went into spontaneous remission. And it says, this man's body had mobilized formidable immune resources to defeat the cancer. Three things happened. First, lymphocytes had attacked the tumor. Then, larger cells called macrophages literally helped to eat up the melanoma. And finally, there was an influx of antibodies that also participated in destroying the malignancy. Okay? Now, those are things that can happen when stress is released. But even better, don't even get to that place in the first place, right? Don't even get to a state of disease, and just participate in those solutions, in those recommendations that I had given you, okay, under physical, chemical, emotional, and spiritual, to keep yourself healthy. All right, so let's end with some quotes to remember. And we have: the world we see that seems so insane is a result of a belief system that is not working. To perceive the world differently, we must be willing to change our belief system, let the past slip away, and expand our sense of now and dissolve the fear in our minds. That's a great quote. Okay, sometimes the things that you think that you believed for a long time aren't reality. And you just got to let that go and have a new way of thinking, right? And letting go of fear. This was William James, father of American psychology. The last quote I want to leave you with is a portion of scripture from the Bible. It says, "Cast all your cares on him, God, for he cares for you." 1 Peter 5:7 in the New Testament. All right, you guys, I hope you learned a lot. I know this was a long teaching, but I think it was important. I want you healthy. I want you progressing. I want you joyful and just in a good state of being. All right. So address those 4 stressors so that the 3 pillars of health can be optimal. This is Tony from Wonderfully Made Health, where I remind you you are wonderfully made and the body can heal itself. God bless you, and I hope you learned a lot.